This is something that's interesting to me, and it does verge into the sports world because again, talking about identity and where we get our identity. I think if we were to listen to the news media, now I know full stop right there, like, why would you do a thing to yourself like that? Like, listen to the news media and actually get your information from them. But if we listen to the news media, I think one of the things that we would come away with is that if you're a black man in America, the one thing that you can't be is grateful. You have to have a grievance. You have to be a victim, or you have to be upset about something. I mean, you even think about, and I don't want to get too political here, but I want to be honest. You think about athletes like LeBron James, who said that black people are being hunted down in the streets every single day by police officers, which is just objectively not true. Um, but 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 regardless of what we think about what's going on in race in America today, the one thing I think that perhaps you can certainly shed a light on, and something that you could share with us is the false kind of pathway of resentment, and how that doesn't necessarily get you to where you want to be, and how that doesn't fulfill you, and how that's a path that's never going to bring anything good from it, and how actually gratitude, regardless of what your past experience has been, because the reality is for some people, sure, their subjective experience, especially as a minority member in America, has not been good. They've had bad experience with the police, they've had bad experiences with white people or whoever. Certainly that some people have that experience. By and large, I don't know, but the reality is regardless of what your experience is, and your book drips with this, which again is why I encourage people to read it. It drips with gratitude. With gratitude. Now, uh, yeah, yeah, you probably could say, obviously, you've been given a lot in your life. You had some amazing talent. You've had wealth, and you've had all sorts of things, but you probably lost some of that too between here and there. So I know, obviously, your experience is your experience, but what would you say to anybody, especially somebody who is trying to be an athlete, or maybe somebody in minority communities, about where resentment will lead and where gratitude will lead?
Well, I can tell you this. Uh, I've never been a follower.
Yeah.
I've always been a leader, regardless of what I had to go through and what I had to endure. I still always been a leader. So if you can't lead yourself into the example of who you really want to be, then you're going to follow the crowd. So, and that's what happens to a lot of people. They follow what somebody else is saying instead of standing on their own 2 feet. And yes, of course, have we all been through something? If people of color, yes, you've been through some experience, something, but I never let that hold me down. I never let that hold me back. Has it been unfair in some places? Yes, it's a reality that we grow up in. It's what we've been through as a nation together. How do you move forward from that? Well, first thing first, I've always looked at, you got to have some real leaders who are really qualified to speak about real things.
Yeah.
Not just because I put on a uniform and I've done well. The uniform has nothing to do with it. That doesn't make me a leader. Like I said before, that just makes me a ball player,
Right.
and that makes me have a voice and a platform. But if you've experienced some things in life, you've been through some things, and you have overcome them, you have great gratitude, because now you understand what grace is. See, because that's the problem with so many of us. We don't understand grace because we think we deserve, and we
Yeah.
don't deserve. And
Good.
God has given to all of us, and He's given grace to every last one of us. And when I started understanding grace, that's 2 Corinthians 12:9, and He said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness." What is He saying there? He's saying, I'm made strong in you and your weakness. When you're weak, I'm strong. I will come to you and I will give you grace, and I will carry you over throughout anything that you will face. It's just a matter of, do I have the right attitude? Do I have the right perspective of looking at it and seeing it that way? And a lot of times, most people don't have that. They want to say, well, this is what it is. And then everybody jumps on the bandwagon. Yeah, we've been suffering for so long. And, being an athlete and being rich and famous as an athlete, you haven't suffered. You've been blessed. What are you talking about? You never been on the street. They never drag you down the street. You never been through that. Yes, you've seen others go through that, but I have never been through that. So what do I do? I have to learn to stand on what's real, and I have to be able to give real principles. I can't just give my voice, my opinion, because
Yeah.
my opinion of what I think is really nothing compared to what God thinks. Because first of all, He gave you the grace,
Yeah.
and this is where we have gone wrong as a nation of people, and not understanding that you don't deserve the grace He's given to you. As a sinner, He didn't have to give it to you. But you don't. People don't look at that part of their life. They was like everybody want to portray. Well, I'm good. I've never done nothing wrong. Well, when people tell you that, you need to run and,
Yeah.
and keep running from them, because everybody has done something wrong and everybody will fall short.
Catch new episodes of Indie Thinker with Reed Uberman for free right now by going to YouTube or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Simply type Indie Thinker with Reed Uberman in the search bar and click on my face. Don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe to stay informed when a new episode drops.